Over.
Whoa. Hey, that's the wrong show. Ladies and gentlemen, this is No Fucks Given Radio. And this ain't the Freaky Fucked Up Fear Hour, even though I know if you're over on YouTube, that's the intro you just started here. Whatever, I'm going to get an intro to this show. It's only episode 2. Shut the fuck up. That was intentional. Why are you giving me a look? Man, look, we got Tony D in the house. Tony, what's up?
Oh, no factor. What's up?
I don't know. She's like, my wife said you mumbled, and she's giving me shit. And I'm like, that was intentional. I know me. Give me another one of these before you leave me.
Remember, you're radio, man. You gotta enunciate. WNBC.
Well, this is No Fucks Given Radio. Is that better?
There
fucking
you go.
Pair of assholes.
No Fucks Given Radio is live.
God damn it. Like,
Comic Book Oblivion. Hello, everybody.
I just have an actual radio voice. I'm not gonna fucking, like, nah, y'all got me fucked up. I don't know what the fuck hell's going on over here. Everybody's trying to critique my fucking voice. Fucking.
Are we on the air? Are we on the air live? Is it time for Comic Book Oblivion? I
mean, we are on the air. But with all y'all's shit talk, I don't know. I might just cancel the show.
What? It's only the second episode. I have so much to say.
It would be kind of funny, but yeah, I wouldn't, because I enjoyed this shit. I am very much a... Look, if y'all can't tell I'm a comic book nerd just from fucking looking behind me, I need to turn this light on. Yeah, there you go. Looking behind me and being like, oh my god, that's just a shitload of Deadpool. You know.
Nice.
And I'm not the dude that's like, I love Deadpool. I'll talk to you about the movies. No, dude, literally, what do you want to know about Deadpool? I know way too much, Tony.
How many issues did Buddy Scalera write?
Okay, see, I can give you information about the character, not information.
Oh, okay.
No, you got me there.
Where do you remember the first appearance of Deadpool? What's the first appearance?
New Mutants 98?
It's in one of the Liefeld X-Men. It's in the X-Force. Was he?
No. I know it was New Mutants. Now hold up. Yeah. No, it wasn't X-Force.
That was later.
Yeah, that was. I mean, he definitely was in the X-Force books. But yeah, his first appearance was in New Mutants 98. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
I know my Deadpool. That's one that, like, don't ask me why. He's just always a character I've loved, even before he was a good guy. Yeah, there's something about somebody that is completely that psychotic and just like swords that appeals to me.
Got it. Crazy guy.
Yeah.
What was the combination that Liefeld described? What was the combo of powers and personality? I think there was a specific combo.
Oh, he said it was like a jacked up Wolverine. With a who? Oh, god damn it. With the Joker. If memory.
Yeah, I think that was it. And wasn't Spider-Man in that mix too? Because his looks a little bit like Spider-Man.
I mean, Spider-Man could have, but I mean that whole fucking. That's Slade Wilson. Let's be real honest. Like, I love Deadpool, but I'm not gonna sit here and tell you he's not a total ripoff of Deathstroke, because he is.
No, people say that. I mean, his look maybe a little bit, but Deathstroke was always kind of. He was more of like a superhero version of Chamberlain, who was the famous British big game hunter, and that he was supposed to sort of be. Well, he wasn't British, I don't think, but it was kind of implied that he was like one of those high class guys, like a high class assassin. Like Deadpool's very lowbrow, right?
Oh no, yeah.
I mean, you would say he's pretty lowbrow.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely. That's the thing. I mean, it's Slade Wilson, Deathstroke, Wade Wilson, Deadpool. What Marvel essentially did was take that character and they're like, we're going to take this character that DC's like he's all serious and a badass. and we're gonna make him fucking immortal and retarded and insane.
Yeah, and like the comic book industry has a long history of ripping each other's characters all the time. I mean,
oh my god,
you know, that goes back forever. And that's we're definitely going to get into that tonight because we're going to talk about tonight's theme is the movies, and we got to talk about Captain Marvel, and that's definitely one of the characters that was one of those characters that was sort of a rip-off of what DC was doing at the time. But before we get into that, I do have an update on last month's topic. If you want to hear it just briefly, I'll try to keep it concise.
Oh hell yeah!
Okay, so last month we talked about big controversy of Comicsgate, and one of the things I talked about last month was I wanted to do a comic book peace summit. So I actually made a video sort of explaining, hey, let's have a comic book peace summit and try to tamp down all the vitriol between the two rival factions of politics in the world of comics that are sort of eating each other online. And I naively thought that maybe there would be some amount of support for this. You know, I've been in comics over 20 years, factor. I thought I had a little credibility in this business. Apparently I have none. So I didn't get a response from the Comicsgaters. I don't know if they ever saw the video. But I tried to step into a Facebook discussion about them and offer it to some people, and they were extremely angry that I would even suggest that the Comicsgaters could be, you know, talked to and brought into the fold and peacefully dealt with. It was very ugly. People are extremely raw, and I for about 24 hours I was petrified of even going onto Facebook because everybody got mad at me. I had to block somebody. It was a disaster. So then I made a second video where I did a follow-up saying, well, I don't think the Comic Book Peace Summit is going to happen, and I'm just going to, you know, wait it out and see if there's another opportunity down the road. Maybe there'll be some event that'll sort of crystallize the two factions, and then maybe we could have a peace summit in a later time. You know, just sort of keeping the door open, but kind of bowing out when there's absolutely no interest. Well, not 2 days later, the guy who runs Comicsgate, essentially, Richard Meyer, sued Mark Waid, a bombshell, right? He's suing Mark Waid for apparently what happened was, according to Meyer, Waid called Antarctic Press. Meyer had a deal with Antarctic Press for one of his comics that he had raised money for online, Jawbreakers. It was very popular. And Antarctic was going to publish it, which was really going to make things good for Meyer and Antarctic Press, who, you know, your fans out there may remember them from a comic book called Ninja High School. But apparently, according to Meyer, after Mark Waid called them, the deal was dead, and now he's suing them. And I said last month at the time, if this is true, I mean, Mark Waid, in my opinion, really overstepped his bounds. I mean, to go in and you know, involve himself in a deal with an independent comics publisher. I mean, Mark Waid is a heavyweight in this business. It would be like Alex Rodriguez going down to the minor leagues and saying, hey, let me tell you who's going to bat and who's going to pitch and who's going to do whatever. You know, you can't fucking ignore Mark Waid when he calls your independent comic book company, and you certainly can't blow him off. So it's bad, you know. And then I watched a video just recently from a lawyer. He does videos about law and some on comics, and it's called law splaining is what he calls his videos. Anyhow, he went through the civil suit, you know, the initial filing, and he's basically saying that Wade's in a lot of trouble. I mean, it doesn't look good for Wade. It's still possible that Wade may beat Meyer in this and beat the rap and not have to pay, but it looks really bad. So, I mean, the fact that these two guys are in a lawsuit now, it's bad. Comics,
you know, I think what that ostensibly shows, Tony, is And it's sad. It's not just in comics. It's the fact that in all groups, there's a couple of people within those groups that are really, really fucking extreme. You know, like extreme where everyone else in the group looks at them every once in a while and is like, yo, like, Joe, just calm down. Put the torch away, you know? Like, it's okay, you know? And everyone has those groups. I don't give a fuck what group you're talking about. Everyone has that. And based on those people, everyone's afraid to interact because they're afraid they're going to interact with that person, therefore not being able to make any leeway. And that causes so many fucking problems where people just won't talk to begin with because they're afraid of that person. That's really fucked up. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, I think you hit the nail on the head because I felt very much that way in the Facebook discussion while I'm trying to present. And I tried to stay very neutral about it as much as I could, but Jesus Christ, I'm a human being. I tried to word it as best I could. I wasn't out there to attack people, but, you know, people just immediately said, well, you were Comicsgate. We don't like you. You should police your language. I mean, you know, people piled on. Now, there were a couple of people who weren't right away angry at me, but by the end of it, you could hear that they would talk themselves into it. And that's, I think, what you're describing. It's this fear that, oh, I better go along with the crowd or else I'm going to be attacked too. And so they talk themselves into it because that'll make life easier for them.
I want someone to come here and tell me I should police the language on No Fucks Given Radio.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a strange comment to me for people to say something like, well, you should really police your language. Like, what are you saying? What kind of, who are you to tell me to police my language? For what? Obviously, I'm a person who's speaking. You know, it's one thing to say, oh, that maybe I don't like that word or whatever. And the word wasn't a derogatory term. What I had said in the video was, on the one side you have Comicsgate, and on the other side, for lack of a better term, I'm going to say the SJWs, otherwise known as social justice warriors, which is not a derogatory term. Saying social justice warrior is not a derogatory term. It never was. It's like back in the 80s when Republicans tried to make liberal a dirty word. It's not a dirty word. I mean, you know, certainly critics use the term SJWs derisively, but you could use any word derisively if you really try. So, you know, when somebody's trying to negotiate a peace settlement and says, listen, I have no other term to call you, and this is for lack of a better term, that's pretty self-explanatory that I'm not attempting to be derisive about you and your group. But that didn't matter because people are just hurt and they want to take their problems out on somebody, and I just happen to get in their way for a couple of hours. And let me tell you, it's very stressful. It's very stressful to have that kind of stuff.
Maybe I'm just too big of a dick, but I'd be like, look, fuck you. Like, I know the world's got problems, but if fucking you were presented an opportunity to come and try and talk them out and neither side is willing to, then do me a favor and fuck off.
Well, I can't say for sure the Comicsgates are not interested in it, but, you know, I don't really have close ties to them. I don't know them. I posted the link where I thought they might see it. They may just have decided, I mean, look, you're either, you know, to say no is a commentary too. To say nothing, then, you know, I can continue to wonder if they ever saw the link. So, you know, at this point, they have no reason to come to the table. You know, they have even less of a reason to come to the table than the people on the other side of Comicsgate. They're the ones who are winning this fight from a cultural perspective. You know, Meyer just made a video about how poisonous Twitter is and how he even admits, like, you know, I had to get off of Twitter for a while. It's just so nasty, and it's true. You know, people create these echo chambers where only certain opinions matter, and it kind of just magnifies them to the point of ridiculousness. And he was showing footage of a party, and it had a very feminist theme to it, and it was a little off-putting, the whole thing. And you could see why. It just, It's just these people who are, patting themselves on the back constantly and saying how wonderful they are. And then the moment, somebody points out like, hey, that doesn't seem very sensible. You're a jerk, you're a loser, you're misogynist, you're racist, it just snowballs. I mean, I had people saying that Meyer was a white nationalist and associated with them, and I have not seen any evidence of that, nor would I think there is any evidence of it. I mean, he may have said some nasty things, and I'm pretty sure he did, but, white nationalism is a pretty specific thing. It's a pretty specific thing, and he's in a family. He's got kids who are not white. I think he was married to a Muslim woman. I don't know exactly his story, but white nationalists don't have non-white children. They don't. That's kind of the whole point of being a total racist. So for them to accuse him of white nationalism is just like, dude, come on. Where's your evidence? You're really out on a limb here. Sure, okay, you don't like him, you don't agree with his politics, but it's the same thing that's happened with Trump in this country. You can't talk to people rationally about Trump. You just can't. They just scream at you like, and my own parents, like, I cannot talk to them about Trump anymore. I can't. They cannot tolerate the conversation anymore. Everything Trump does is bad. From just him walking out and saying hello. Oh, you hear how condescending he is? Like, all the guy did was say hello. I mean, I'm sure there's other things to pick on for Trump, but give the guy.
God, don't get into Trump, man. Like I still need to do more research about what the fuck he did with that cell phone thing with blah blah blah. I know everybody fucking had it pop up on their shit. I didn't, but it's because I don't keep that shit. It's just how the fuck I am. But that's a whole thing with him now. I don't know. That motherfucker worries me. You want to get into Trump? Like,
oh yeah, I'm no fan. Look, I didn't vote for Trump, but that doesn't make him the walking incarnation of the devil.
But he might be, Tony. But Tony, he really might be. You never know.
It's it's like, for my parents, they only watch like the nightly news and stuff on television. They don't really read much news on the internet. They still read newspapers, and that's its own kind of that's its own kind of echo chamber. All that stuff is all from the same sources. Like, it's all sourced from the AP. It's a few networks. It's the same like 200 people doing the news, and they're all in bed with the government anyway. They just don't like Trump right now, so they hate him. And any criticism outside the acceptable circle of criticism is immediately dismissed. But let's get out of politics, because we're here to talk about
for real.
Comics.
We're like 20 minutes into the goddamn show. One, we're supposed to be talking about comic books. We're on politics. I know it was actually politics in comic books that got us into politics, as far as in
absolutely.
So whatever, at least it wasn't some crazy ass what the fuck, how did that happen segue. But we're supposed to be talking about goddamn movies and TVs and how comic books have been affected by them and vice versa.
But it's going to get political in those too, because of what's happening in the movies. But let's get into it.
Okay.
So I got on my phone here. Do we got any questions on the YouTube, by the way? Do we got anybody in that room listening?
Nah.
Okay. So on my phone,
trying to look. If you got any questions on anything, fucking ask. If you want to just say Tony's an asshole, go ahead and do that too. I know John did.
Why did you have to mention my name? Why couldn't they say unknown factors an asshole?
Well, because everybody knows I'm an asshole. For some reason, the only people that really say it are the other hosts. I don't know. It's just a commonly known factor that I am an asshole. But I'm a lovable asshole, as Chuckles says, so I get a pass. Yeah.
Nice.
I don't know why that works.
All right, so I got the Newsarama listing of the movies that are coming out in the world of comics and the order they're coming out in. So in 2018, the next movie, of course, is Venom from Sony. I think this movie's good, mainly because Tom Hardy's in it, and he's a phenomenal actor. That guy could carry fucking any movie.
But
you know,
now,
so
wait, we're gonna start
see
it.
the movie.
I have to instantly dispute with you, man. I don't know, Venom without Spider-Man. That's just, I'm worried about that film just failing because you're gonna have to go fucking so far from the source material to get a story.
Well, there was a story this week that said Lady Gaga fans were bashing the Venom movie because they're trying to make A Star Is Born the #1 movie this weekend, and I guess they're opening up against each other. So they're trying to hurt the Venom movie. And somebody pointed out that a lot of these Gaga fans their comment was cut and paste. So it was weird. And a lot of them, I shouldn't say all of them, but a lot of the Gaga fans are women, and so it sounded sort of doubly suspicious in that there were so many women commenting on a movie like Venom, which would appeal more to men, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Hey, what's up to Yaya up in the motherfucking chat? I know, especially with Venom though, because from what I'd seen, it looked like they were going to use Carnage as the villain, which fuck yeah.
I'm not a fan of Carnage.
Oh, I think... shut your dirty mouth, Tony.
Well, but look, I think, as a character, Venom was good up to a point. I liked Venom when Todd McFarlane was doing him, and he brought in Eddie Brock, and then they did this storyline where Brock is like trying to kill Peter Parker. That was all great. And then they had this great ending to it where Spider-Man fakes his own death. So Brock and Venom now think Spider-Man's dead, and he's trapped on this tropical island somewhere, and he just is going to live out the rest of his life on his island. Now, of course, they didn't leave it there. Eventually got off the island and found out Spider-Man was alive, but that I thought was a great ending to the character. Like, the fact that they tried to bring him back and make him a hero in the comics, it was too late by that point. He had killed so many people in the world of comics.
Wait,
I don't think you could make him a hero.
Am I to understand you don't like the fact that he's currently... Well, fuck, who the fuck currently has Venom? Because last time it was Flash, right?
For the movies?
No, well, not in the movies. I don't give a fuck in the comic books.
Oh, I don't know. I'm so far out of the loop on the comics.
Well, I know Flash. I know Flash had it for a while, but I mean, Scorpion had the fucking symbiote temporarily. That was fairly short-lived, I believe, though. I'm pretty sure the guy that currently has Venom, like the actual Venom symbiote, is Flash Gordon. Well, no, not Flash Gordon. Fucking, what's Flash's last name? Flash Thompson.
Yeah. Who, for anybody who's not up on their Spider-Man trivia, Flash Thompson was the jock that tormented Peter Parker in high school. But then they became friends. Venom.
That's so... The irony, I love the irony there, personally.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. I mean, that's a better choice for the Venom costume because, Eddie Brock was just created to basically be Venom, whereas Flash Thompson has a personal stake in destroying Spider-Man, kind of, because he tormented him in high school, and now, he's tormenting him as Venom, and that's kind of cool. But, in terms of the movie, I think the character can work because he kills people, and that is a dichotomy you can do in a movie. And plus, in movies, the stakes are much higher because you're not going to do... I mean, Venom's gone, I don't know how many hundred of issues, but in the world of movies, you're not going to do 100 movies, so you could have, Venom kill a bunch of people. It's not going to matter as much. You want that up. You want that ante up. So I think it can work. And then I think they're going to build to a Venom versus Spider-Man movie, which I think is the whole point.
Well, now, wait, what is that rated?
Well, there was a controversy about that, too, because they're saying they cut a bunch of footage out that they wanted it to be rated R, and then they cut out 40 minutes of it and now it's not going to be rated. I guess it's going to be PG-13.
Yeah, it is
So-
PG-13. That's the official rating it got. Because I thought initially they were kind of more trying to follow the Deadpool format of things. Maybe not so much in the comedy, but as far as the violence and everything and how that was toned up to...
Yeah, well, he eats
Lovely.
people in the movie, apparently.
Well,
Like, Venom eats people.
well, that's fine, but then how the fuck are you going to eat somebody in a film and not get an R rating?
Yeah, the rating system is really more about, there's a great documentary about it, how, like, the studios have these secret group of people.
What's it
Seen
called?
it.
What's that documentary called? I've seen it. I know what you're talking about, Tony.
I don't remember. It was on Netflix a while back. I saw
Yeah.
it. It's really interesting. And, they got the secret cabal of people, and all they do is watch movies and rate them. But, they have some guidelines, like, if you drop the F-bomb, you're R. There's an
No,
interesting
you can get
story
it
about,
once. You can get one F-bomb and not get an R, but only one.
Okay.
That's the rule.
Yeah, maybe they changed it. Well, like, it also depends a little bit on context. Like, you remember the movie Planes, Trains, and Automobiles
Yeah.
with John Candy,
yeah.
Steve Martin?
Yeah.
So years ago that came out. That movie was going to be rated, I don't think they had PG-13 then, so that movie was going to be rated PG. And they didn't want it to be rated PG at the time because at the time R-rated comedies made more money. So they added this scene, and I don't know if you remember it from the movie, where Steve Martin walks into the car rental place after having a horrible time, and he curses out the attendant. He just goes on this long, ridiculous rant of cursing, and that's the only scene in the movie where there's cursing. And because, they added that scene, it got an R rating. And that was the reason they added it, was so they would get the R rating and the movie would be an R-rated comedy, and they figured they could sell more tickets that way. So that's kind of what the rating system does, unfortunately. It causes movies to be R-rated when they shouldn't be, and vice versa.
I still don't get how Titanic pulled not an R rating. That's my main one. Like, I look at Titanic and
Why? What's in that should have been R? Are there boobies?
The sexual content more than anything is what I think would have gotten it.
I don't know. I didn't see that movie, so.
You never seen Titanic? Are you shitting me, Tony?
It's not my kind of movie. I might watch it one day because Billy Zane's in it, and I think he's a really good actor. But
yes,
and Leonardo DiCaprio's okay, but in that he looks boring in that.
Look, it was.
So, I don't know. I know the whole damn story.
I was trying to get
movies
laid, Tony. All right, that's all it was about for me.
Oh well, I mean, okay. So you didn't really go to see the movie.
I mean, hell no, I didn't go to see the movie. I went to take a chick to see the movie in hopes that I could get her in that, type of situation. He got her in that car in that movie, that's all. All right, there was.
All right, did it work?
Huh. Fuck no. I hate those kind of films, Tony. Are you shitting me? I like my movies, like, either really violent or really fucking weird. Like, no, I don't like normal shit. That's just the way it is. Except I've come to the conclusion what I like is becoming way more normal, which is kind of disturbing. Like, when the fuck did everybody become fans of Deadpool? What happened here?
Well, because he was in a funny movie, and Ryan Reynolds played him. And, Ryan Reynolds is, first off, Ryan Reynolds has always been good in comedy.
True.
I don't know why he got out of comedy. I guess Hollywood just threw truckloads of money at him and said, come on, be the leading man instead of being a comedian. The guy's fucking hilarious. I hated every one of his movies where he's the romantic lead. They just look stupid.
I just gotta
say,
that. Tony, have you seen Buried?
Oh, I've seen Barry. Yeah, Barry's great.
All right.
Love Barry.
Because, I mean, that shit ain't comedy.
That's Bill
But yeah,
Hader.
it is. It's fucking fantastic. To hold a fucking movie like that as a man in a coffin with a cell phone. You're a good actor, sir. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. Yeah, I don't. You entertained me like that? Fucking A. kudos, man. You earned fuck. I don't know how the fuck he didn't get nominated for something off that.
Yeah, I think Henry Winkler got nominated for Barry.
Well, Ryan Reynolds shoulda for like best actor.
I don't remember Ryan Reynolds being in Barry, though. Are we talking about the same thing? I'm talking about Barry, the TV series with Bill Hader.
No, I'm talking about Buried. Buried.
Oh, Buried. No, I didn't see that movie.
Ah, you're missing out, Tony.
I thought you said Barry.
No, Buried.
Oh, okay.
Like
Barry is Bill Hader in a Netflix thing, or a Showtime thing, which is amazing. But anyhow, before we get too distracted, let's get back on comic book movies and go to the next one on the list here. Let's see. The next one on the list. Sorry, my dog is barking, by the way. Shut up.
Allie said it was her dog is the funny thing.
December 14th, animated Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which to me doesn't even really count.
Yeah, no. Hey, but wait, doesn't that mean the next one is technically the very much surprise movie that no one knew about until here recently?
Surprise movie?
You didn't hear about Deadpool dropping a film? I think it's December 21st. Yeah,
that was on the list here. I saw it here, but I thought it was a mistake. Now you're telling me this is there's going to be a third Deadpool movie?
I mean, look, that's what I've heard.
What did they shoot so much footage of the previous movie? They had enough left over for a third movie. I don't understand what I thought. The word was he was done until the X-Force movie.
I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I've seen a lot of things. There's been tweets about there's going to be a fucking Deadpool Christmas movie. Which, look, first off, I got to say, if any character can pull off a Christmas movie as a comic book character in a movie, it's fucking Deadpool. But you got to let him, like, really fuck around to where, like, at some point Jean Grey or Cyclops is in it. And then, fucking Peter Parker's in it another minute. And then, like, if you could get Superman to just show up for just a split second and then, like, really fuck with the fourth. That's the Deadpool Christmas movie I want, Tony. I
don't think you're going to see that one.
Oh, don't ruin my dream.
Sure, it'd be fun to see. The closest thing you're going to get is that, spoiler alert, that scene at the end of the recent Deadpool movie with, the script for Green Lantern that they did, which was amazing.
You like the Green Lantern film?
I can't sit through it. I mean, it's one of those movies that it's pretty obvious the filmmakers didn't really get it. I mean, they just don't. Yeah. There's some guys, they get a movie and they just don't understand what it is, And unfortunately, Ryan Reynolds was a bad casting choice for Green Lantern. He's too young. He's too handsome. That's not Hal Jordan. Hal Jordan needed to be an older actor. Like Tom Cruise would have been a good Hal Jordan. And there's problems with the Hal Jordan character, just like there's problems with Venom. The problem with the Hal Jordan character in the comics is they ruined him. They destroyed him. They had Hal kill a bunch of people, and then they tried to undo it, but you can't really undo it. I mean, they went too far with that character, and they just ruined him.
Well, and what? He's one of like 6 lanterns on Earth, right?
Well, here's the brief history of the Green Lantern Corps. So, like, in the DC universe, there was the first Green Lantern, who was like a guy who found this mystic ring in a pyramid somewhere when it was a little nebulous what his origin was. And I forget that guy's name. I think his last name was Scott. Anyhow, he was the original Green Lantern. and then later when like, you know, the moon landing was popular and like space stuff was popular in comics, they expanded on the idea of where this ring came from, and they revealed, oh, it really came from aliens. And so Hal Jordan then was introduced as like, you know, he's really the Green Lantern, and the other Green Lantern, well, he was a guy. There was an old Green Lantern who died on Earth, and they put his ring in a pyramid, and that's how he, you know, became a Green Lantern. And the original Green Lantern's weakness was wood; it wasn't yellow.
What?
And then later they changed. Yeah, his weakness is wood. So
I was unaware of that, Tony, and that's just kind of fucking funny. So that essentially means the original Green Lantern's worst nemesis would have been like a fucking teenage boy going through puberty, because they got all kinds of wood.
Not that kind of wood, you knucklehead. No, he got shot by an arrow. You know, an arrow could shoot through his Green Lantern force field and kill him. So, but he could block bullets. So, but then, you know, the Hal Jordan one was the most popular one, I think, and he became the, you know, and that's the story. You know, he was a test pilot, and he crashed, and then there was an alien who gives him the ring, and he becomes the new Green Lantern. He goes to space, and you know, it was a whole outer space thing. Then later, they expanded the Green Lantern Corps, and eventually they added Guy Gardner back in the early '90s, and he was sort of like he was the Donald Trump of of Green Lanterns. He was an asshole. He was a total asshole, and everybody hated him, but he was somehow still the Green Lantern. And then there was another guy who's also the Green Lantern now, John Stewart. I was trying to think of his name.
Yeah.
He's the Black Green Lantern. And then there was another guy who was a comic book artist, Kyle something. He's a Green Lantern. And then later they decided, well, that now there's not just Green Lanterns, there's also Red Lanterns and Yellow Lanterns and Blue Lanterns, and they have slightly different powers and blah blah blah. And they tried to expand the universe, and it kind of didn't work. And then they added alien Green Lanterns, and some of them were cool, but they kind of, you know, stretched out the idea as far as it would go. And
hey,
then they had
the little
with
cat Green Lantern. Well, the little cat Red Lantern is dope.
Yeah, I mean, you know, some of these ideas work and some of them don't. But, you know, you can only have, when you have like 50 lanterns running around and flying around, they cease to be special, right? I mean, the cool thing about Hal Jordan was he was the Green Lantern, and that's who he protected Earth, and that was his deal. That was kind of cool. When you add 10 million other Green Lanterns, then it becomes less cool. It's, you know, it just eventually does. There's just too many Green Lanterns, too many lanterns floating around. So, you know, DC, people come in and out of DC creatively and do all kinds of crazy stuff with them. So, and eventually they'll, you know, someone comes in and says, okay, all the lanterns are dead or they're depowered, and Hal Jordan's the last guy, or Kyle Rayner's the last guy, or whoever. But, you know, right now, the Hal Jordan lantern is ruined because there was a storyline in which he killed everybody in this city called Coast City, and he destroyed it and killed like thousands of people. And like, you know, they made him a villain for a while, and then they tried to redeem him because obviously everybody hated that, and it didn't work. So, you know, they made him the Spectre for a while. Hal Jordan became the Spectre, and that didn't work at all. So, in my opinion, and then now he's back, and then they did some time travel thing where they find the Hal Jordan before he killed everybody, and you know, that whole thing. But they kind of tainted the well with Hal Jordan, and that's part of the problem with the character as a whole. So,
hey, fuck it, we're gonna talk about tainted. What did you think about the fact that they showed Superman just full on glory, dick and taint all out hanging?
When? Oh, that.
That. I love. Look, first off, before we even go further in this conversation, I love your fucking. Wait, what? Oh, that. Yeah, the bat dick.
Yeah. That's probably one of the dumbest moves I've ever heard. And it's so crazy, too, because I knew an editor at DC Comics who was pretty high up there, and he told me this incredible story, and it goes like this. He said he got the job at DC Comics, right? And this is a guy who, if I said his name, you'd know who he is. He's a really nice guy. And he has, very eclectic taste or whatever, and that's part of the reason they brought him in. So they said to him, like, on his first week there, hey, we're going to have a big meeting about the comics and a new direction for DC or whatever. We want you to come in there with your wildest ideas, right? Craziest ideas. And he was like, okay. So he goes into this meeting and he says, all right, here's my crazy idea. I think we ought to remove the Comics Code Authority off of Detective Comics and make it kind of an R-rated, comic where it's a little harder, nothing crazy, but, make it like more grown-up, which isn't like that crazy of an idea, right? I mean, you could see that happening.
Yeah.
Not that he was suggesting the bat dick in it, but, something a little harder. Well, they went bananas and yelled at him and said, oh, my God, how could you even suggest something like that? Blah, 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 blah. So the story goes that he told me. Not saying it's true or not, but apparently they very much rejected the idea. So I find it pretty funny that they're actually touting nudity as a strength in Batman now. Like, who wants to see that?
Why would we
want to see that?
You want to hear my theory? I got a theory on this, Tony.
Go ahead. Let me hear it.
All right. To get into that theory, we have to get into what is the DC Extended Universe, right? Which,
right.
is them trying to catch up to Marvel in what they've constructed over the past decade plus, I think that, and you've discussed it, man, comic book sales are really not where it's at. You're getting your money through merchandising and, being able to go out and do movie properties, especially when you're one of the bigger comic book companies like Marvel or DC. DC being owned by Warner Brothers, Marvel's being owned by Disney. Marvel it's not a fucking issue. They're making money. I don't even want to know how much. I would assume they're making a shitload of money with the success of the films and then being able to market, the video games and action figures and Funkos and
sure.
Pops and all that bullshit. Marvel's making their fucking money, all right? DC, on the other hand,
DC's making it too, and when you look at it that way, DC's totally making the money that way too.
But I don't think they're making that Marvel money.
Right.
Right?
You're probably right.
And they want that more. Like, who the fuck in that, like, if you're that close, isn't going to be like, I want to be where they are.
Well, but keep in mind, they made that money in the past, right? They made that money in '89 with the Keaton Batman. They probably made it again with the Chris Nolan Batman,
Oh, yeah.
They made it.
Yeah.
The Superman movies, to some extent. Not the new ones, but the
old
ones.
But they haven't pulled off that thing that Marvel did. And Marvel is honestly the first person to ever be able to pull this off as far as in films. And that's to create a series of films that create a universe. And because that's not something that's ever happened that I know of anyway, short of the Marvel Universe and then the DC Universe they're attempting to do it with. I know technically people say that Stephen King shit is all like that, but it's not tight enough in my opinion to really matter.
Like the Star Wars universe did that.
I wouldn't count Star Wars until like now, because before that they just had the original trilogy and then they had the prequels, and then now with what they've started doing though, okay, I'll say expanded universe and blah blah blah, because Solo was dope. You got a problem with that? Fuck off. Look, Solo was dope. I
totally do. We could do 2 hours on Solo, and I'll tell you everything wrong with it.
Wait, what? No, don't be just a fucking fanboy getting stuck up on every little thing they got wrong. Look at every little thing they got right and appreciate the fact that you got to see that, man.
No. No. I have serious problems with the Solo movie. I'm out of Star Wars, first off. I'm done. I mean, I was out of Star Wars. The moment I saw the recut of the original Star Wars, I knew things were going downhill. And then I saw the Phantom Menace, and I was like, I'm out. I am out. That is the way I left the theater. I stood up, and I was like, I'm out.
Darth Maul is the shit.
He didn't do anything except die. Like,
all right, no, dude, that whole lightsaber battle up to where he died, which I think it's really odd how they let him get taken out, but that's a whole nother point, and people saying there's theories behind that. And you can read all about it, motherfuckers. Go on the internet. Like, Obi-Wan Kenobi's a badass. That's why Darth Maul got taken out the way he did, because Obi-Wan's a badass. That's ostensibly the long and the fucking short of it, is what people really say. But, like, that was impressive, man, to be able to watch somebody use a double-bladed lightsaber like that, you know? And to have somebody that not only that was a bowmaster in real life, that being Ray Park, being the guy working it, to where it looked fucking ridiculous. I don't know, man. No, that, like, just that lightsaber fight scene makes that whole movie acceptable to me.
What destroys the movies for me, beginning with the Phantom Menace, is the moment Liam Neeson pulls out a little tricorder and says, "Oh, his metachlorians are very hot."
Okay, whatever. Fuck it. This ain't a Star Wars episode. Let's get back on the fucking point. Like I was saying, the DC Extended Universe.
Well,
right?
Look, you brought it up. I got to.
I did. Now. Whatever. We were about to get off
because into the original trilogy, the entire arc of it is all about the Force, and the Force is this esoteric thing that surrounds us all, and it's not a bunch of little mites that live in your body and give you superpowers. It is a thing that it's universal, that everybody should relate to, and that everybody back then, when they heard about the Force, it was so great because you could not only imagine the Force in the movie, but you can imagine it in your real life. Basically, the Force was almost like God in its own way. You know, it was this amazing universal thing that connected all the movies and connected everyone to everything. And the moment he separated that and turned it into just another sci-fi piece of bullshit, he destroyed the movie.
Okay, fair enough. Whatever. I'm not I don't see. Look, it's a good fucking series of films. I'm the kind of guy that there is no particular thing you could fuck up to the point where I was like, oh, that was my shit. How'd you do that? Even if, like, they took Deadpool and turned him into a fucking girl that was a model that was dating Spider-Man, I'd be like, that was really weird. I don't like it anymore. And that would be it. I wouldn't be bitching about the fact that they fucked up my character. I'd just be like, that was really weird. Have a good day. And I'd walk the fuck away. Like, what the fuck was that?
Exactly.
I'd really be confused, too. Like, why'd they turn fucking Deadpool into a bikini model that's dating Spider-Man? Like, how the fuck did that even come about? Like, they took that Spider-Man Deadpool comic way too far.
This is what fanboys need to do. They need to vote with their wallet. You know, a few years ago, when this fucking Ghostbusters movie came out, with an all-female Ghostbusters, I was appalled at the reaction of the filmmakers when they put the trailer online and everybody hated it. And they said, well, you know, you're just being a bunch of toxic males who don't want to see women succeed in movies. And I was like, fuck you. I am not seeing that movie. And now I am voting with my wallet. So I don't go to see every movie that comes out anymore because there's too many cynical, horrible remakes and rehashes and reboots of bullshit that I don't need to waste 2 hours of my life seeing. I just don't.
All right.
Movies are too expensive.
Back to my original point, though. Look, because I still got it. Look, I do think people have been voting with their wallet and not going and seeing these DC flicks. And DC's trying to create some kind of something to just create more of a buzz around their entire brand. So they're like, hey, Bat Dick, fucking do it. All right? In hopes that, like, people will be like, you know, they showed the Bat Dick in the comic. God knows what the fuck they'll do in these movies now. You know? Like,
I guess, but I don't know. It just sounds like a desperate, lame move. You know what would be great is if they made really good comics that people said, you got to read the fucking Batman comic.
Yeah. Good luck with that, dude.
Batman comic.
They can't even make a good movie, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, look, I pitched for Batman, and I pitched some pretty wild shit, but...
Oh, yeah, I know, dude. I love that pitch. You can check out that pitch. Was that on the first episode of Comic Book Oblivion, or was that on the interview?
Oh, it was probably on the interview.
Yeah, I think it was on the
interview we
did
at Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
But, like, it's, you know... I pitched wilder shit than that. I pitched a storyline where crime is legalized in Gotham. And the premise was, like, in order to the Gotham is broke, they can't fight crime anymore, so they basically legalize all drugs, all prostitution. They legalize all the crime they can, right? And Batman is torn now because now to a certain extent crime is legal, and all the thugs he used to go after, they're all doing legal business. And, like, can he still fight crime? Like, what is crime? It makes him question everything. And, you know, that would be a cool story to work. You know, it'd be like The Wire in that episode. I don't know, everybody talks about The Wire, right? That season where the police captain makes a 3-block radius, that's the drug haven, so they allow drugs and prostitution there, but no other place in the city. And it changes the course of the city. I mean, that was a cool story. And that's why everybody watches The Wire. That was a daring, cool story. Like, that's the kind of shit you do in Batman. And that people go, oh, I got to read the Batman comic. What are they doing? Oh, they legalize crime, and, like, people are taking drugs, and they're banging prostitutes, and Batman doesn't know who to fight anymore. And it's like, what? That's crazy.
Can I say, I want to get deep into the DC Extended Universe real quick, though, man, because I feel like we haven't at all. And look, I found, like, I was just going around looking for what was coming up as far as from these particular, as far as from Marvel and DC specifically. And dude, the shit I found, because apparently they're doing a Batman film, but I know that's in fucking flux because Ben Affleck's all, I don't know, whatever. There's fucking issues there with contract or timing, whatever. They got Shazam coming out. They had a Green Lantern Corps film planned that's fallen through the goddamn fucking hole. Batgirl.
Well, the next movie's Aquaman. That's December 21st.
Is what?
That's
Aquaman?
Aquaman is, according to this list, Aquaman.
Seriously, first off, that is the most inaccurate representation of a comic book character I think that I've seen in the films.
Yeah, I mean, Aquaman's never been a great character. He's another character, like, why? Why are you doing an Aquaman movie? He's not the kind of character that ever could hold his own comic. The only guy who ever I thought did good, really, with the Aquaman character, Peter David did a good revamp, I thought. That was when Aquaman had a beard and long hair, and he had a trident for a hand. Like, he was doing some cool shit. But, you know, Aquaman, let's be honest, he is a ripoff of Namor that was big at DC Comics in the very early days. And, you know, DC said, well, we got to have our own water guy. So they quick created Aquaman. And it's like, he's not a strong character. He's just there to fill out the rank. But, you know, the guy who's playing Aquaman is, you know, the guy from Game of Thrones, and he's very popular, and they've been looking for a movie for him, so that's what they did.
No, see, and man, ask me, or tell me what you think of this, Tony. I'm curious. I really think the main thing that DC is fucking up in is they had a bunch of people that were bigger characters in the DC universe that they could have just been like, you know what, fuck it. We're just going to, like, in the Arrowverse, yeah, that's the DC universe now. Fuck it, right? And use those guys. Like,
yeah, I'd agree. I mean, why not take the Green Arrow guy who's already established and has a following, and, you know, I hear, you know, from what I've seen, the actor's good and everybody's good in that show. Why not spin him into this? He's already established. You could bring the fans along. You know, Flash, okay, yeah, he'd be a choice too. keep them like low-powered, gritty guys like Batman, and then you throw Superman in there once in a while. I think the whole thing went to pieces the moment Zack Snyder directed Superman and made the whole series too dark. Too dark. Superman's not supposed to be dark.
No, fuck that. That first Superman series that first Superman movie that had him in it, he picked up an island of kryptonite.
Are you thinking of the one that had Kevin Spacey as Lex Luthor?
Yeah.
That one? That wasn't the Henry Cavill one, was
Oh, well,
it? That
thank
was the
God.
one before.
Because that shit was so fucking retarded.
Yeah, that was not good. That was the only movie. I went to see that movie with a bunch of fanboys, a bunch of my comic book cohorts at a comic book convention, and one of them fell asleep halfway through the movie. I mean, that's how boring that movie was.
Oh. Yeah, that's
good. I don't want to say.
And I just feel like DC is fucking up trying to get their shit off the ground. And then it amazed me to see what they got coming up.
They didn't follow the formula. Like Marvel had a great formula. It was introduce one character, and at the end of the movie, after the credits, somebody comes along and says, "I'm trying to put together a team. Join my team," and then tease the Justice League. And then you do that for 3 or 4 movies, and then you do the Justice League movie. So, you don't have Batman build the Justice League. Batman didn't build the Justice League, really, in the comics. They had a great character in DC, Maxwell Lord. Back in the early 90s when Jeff Johns was writing Justice League, Max Lord was the guy who put the team back together. And that's when you had Booster Gold and Blue Beetle and Fire and Ice and all those guys. And the Guy Gardner Green Lantern. So you could have brought all those wacky characters in to fill out the ranks, and you could have had Superman there and Batman and all the other ones too. But it would have required you to do, separate movies for those characters. Those characters are more fun. Yeah, people don't know them as much, but you're not going to get anywhere with Aquaman. The Aquaman movie.
You say that, but look, fucking, it's not like Marvel, like when they were going to do the expand their whole universe, the whole cinematic universe. It's not like they were like, hey, you know who we're going to start with? Spider-Man or the X-Men. No, they said Iron Man, who is a very established character and has a long fucking history in the comic books. But as far as popularity at that particular moment, not so much.
Yeah, but, when you have Robert Downey Jr., the guy he is the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Robert Downey Jr. is just so amazing. And the thing about it was, the script was really good on the first Iron Man movie. I mean, it's really good. It's about a guy who's trying to redeem himself, and the superhero stuff is there, but it's kind of almost secondary. Whereas all the DC characters, they tend to be crime fighters because they're from an era where they were created when crime fighting was like a thing. Iron Man was created later when it was a little more sophisticated and the story was more nuanced,
Well, and that's the thing, too. Robert Downey Jr. playing Tony Stark. I mean, those characters, to a certain degree, they have a lot of similarities in their history as far as Robert Downey Jr. and his actual personal history with, having addiction problems. And Tony Stark, exactly the same in the comic book. I think that's another reason he played that character so fucking well, man, because he really did nail Tony Stark, and has still, for that matter.
And I think there's a huge problem with the one thing Disney does incredibly well these days, especially with the Marvel movies and even with the Star Wars movies, which I don't like, they cast people really, really well. I mean, the casting of the Marvel movies is fantastic. They're always top-level actors. They really look like the part. They're just great. I mean, they've been on such a streak with these Marvel movies. You look at Chris Hemsworth. I mean, the guy's perfect for Thor. He's absolutely fucking perfect. He's in shape. He's got the booming voice. He can act. I mean, he's got it all. They tried to do back in the 70s. They hired a guy, for the TV series to be Thor in that like Hulk movie, and you were just like, what?
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that. It was bad. It was so bad. It was so fucking.
Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange. Phenomenal movie. Phenomenal he's a phenomenal actor. He makes the whole movie. Otherwise, without him, it would just be, it would be an okay movie. But he sells it. He really sells Doctor Strange. It's that way with almost all the characters in the Marvel Universe up until now. It's the problem with Aquaman. The problem with, Ben Affleck, he's a pretty good actor. I think he's a better director than he is actor, but he's not really Batman to me. Like, a guy who would have been Batman, and I know you're going to think I'm crazy for saying this, but Tom Cruise.
What? But, no. that motherfucker's like 5'6", right?
Yeah, I know he's short, but they could make him look big. They do that all the time.
Dude, Tony.
Tom Cruise.
I gotta, what the fuck is wrong with you? No.
Tom Cruise is handsome. He's in shape. He's an action star. He's a little old for the part. He's a little short for the part, but he's a top-level actor. Henry Cavill is a good actor, but he's not a great Superman. He's not... he's not great. Ben Affleck, not great as Batman. He's not convincing as Batman, in my view.
He's better
we need
as Bruce.
somebody who could kick ass in the Batman role. Somebody who, is just great in shape, who can just friggin' kick. I mean, Affleck's in shape, but, I don't buy him as a guy who could beat me up. I really don't. Any guy on the screen that I could probably beat up Ben Affleck. That's not Batman to me. Tom Hardy would be a good Batman. Tom Hardy's a good actor.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I can see Tom Hardy making a damn good Batman. How about fuck it? And you know what? I want fucking Brock Lesnar as Bane.
Yeah, the thing with Bane is he's not a great character. He should not be the main villain of a movie. He should be one of the villains.
He's
and
the
that was
idiot
the
that
problem
somebody
with the
points
last
and goes,
Batman movie.
Yeah, he's like, that's the person that's like, Penguin's like, hey, Bane, go smash that shit. And Bane goes and smashes that shit, and then ends up getting fucked up by Batman, and Penguin's got to figure something else out. Bane's a moron.
Yeah, and Hardy did the best he could with the Bane character, but that character has very little to work with there. And, if DC was doing it the Marvel way, the first thing they should have done, the very first thing was go to Christian Bale and say, please, you have to come back as Batman. And you have to do it again, and we'll pay you whatever you want, and you're going to be Batman, and we're going to do Batman versus Superman. And then, cast somebody as Superman. I don't know who you would cast. Christopher Reeve still is the best Superman. I mean, he just is. He had a good mix.
Yo, we're not getting Christopher Reeves to play Superman again, Tony. I'm sorry.
Well, he's dead. I mean, you're not going to get him.
Okay, yeah, that stopped him with Leia and shit, didn't it?
Yeah, but you wanted Leia, Carrie Fisher to play Leia, an older Leia, of course. But
she was dead.
I'm not sure. You got to get a guy for Superman who's like a big, happy, dopey-looking guy.
I mean, in that case, look, Nick Cage kind of works.
Nah, Nick Cage, he's got to be an unknown guy. He's got to be a farm boy. He's got to be like the guy who's playing Shazam, Captain Marvel. Like, he has a good look. I don't know how good of an actor he is, but he's a big guy. He looks the part. You need a big guy who's like muscular, not too muscular. Now, that was the beauty of having Reeve be Superman. He wasn't a muscle-bound maniac. And think about it. If you're from Krypton and you can already throw cars like they're nothing, how much exercise are you going to get? You're not going to have a lot of muscles. You don't need them. If gravity is so nothing to you that you could jump into the air and fly around, you won't develop a lot of muscle mass. So you don't need a very strong-looking guy.
All right.
You know?
No, fuck it. Seth MacFarlane for Superman.
Yeah, sure. I could see that.
I mean, you really, like, with everything you've just said, Tony, all you made me think in my head was, damn, the creator of Family Guy would make a hell of a Superman. I'll be a son of a bitch.
Yeah, he's got a great voice for it. I mean, he'd have to, get in shape a little bit, but they never let him do it, because he would come off as funny every delivery. And Seth is a pretty good actor. He's okay. I don't think he's a great actor. I don't know if he could sell it, I don't know if he could be, in the dramatic moments. I think you really need a guy who's well-versed. Somebody who, Christian Bale say what you want about him. He was a good actor.
Yeah.
Edward Norton, great actor. He's been in some dramas. You need guys who could pull off the drama part, even though there's not going to be that much drama in a Superman movie, really. There's going to be a couple of scenes, but mostly it's going to be about him punching
DC,
guys.
Man. Let me steer this somewhere else. What do you think of the new upcoming standalone Joker film that they've released a couple little teasers for?
I feel about the Joker film like I feel about the Harley Quinn comic. They're villains. And, it's really tough to write a villain and make people like them and make them still be villains. And that's always been the problem. That was the problem with the Venom comic. It's like, he's a bad guy. Why am I reading about him? Why would I want to read about a bad guy? Like, yeah, if you're going to do a dark comic about, man's inhumanity to man, I guess, sure. Back in the day, there was a comic series called Grendel, and it focused on the bad guy, and that's what it was about. But, if you're talking about the DC and Marvel universe, that you can't really do that kind of comic and make it work, in my view. You kind of got to just say, well, he's a bad guy. Maybe you do a Joker special once in a while, if you're going to keep the character relatively light. The problem with the Joker is they made him dark many years ago, and they never kind of recovered him from that. He's a homicidal maniac who kills people. That's not
when you cut
hilarious.
your own fucking face off just to re-stitch it on your fucking face is pretty hard to come back from that, Tony.
Exactly. So it's the same problem with Hal Jordan. Like, once they made him a bad guy, now you've tainted him. These guys were tainted when you brought them in. So if you want to do a Joker movie, do a Batman movie and put the Joker in it.
But you don't think that'll be interesting to see his origin told from a solo perspective? Because I can't think of another time a film has done something like that. Made the villain the central person the central character in the film, and then two, it'd be a origin story as far as how that particular person became the fuck up that they did.
Well, at the risk of running us off into another movie tangent, if you look at some of the Daniel Craig James Bond movies right after Casino Royale, you see this effort by the filmmakers, I think, to kind of deconstruct Bond and show you the various steps. Well, guess what? That just gives you a movie where you're like, when is he gonna fucking say the line? Bond, James Bond. When is he going to order his damn martini? When is he going to shoot some guys? When is he going to bang some broads? Like, when I want to see James Bond, I want to see James Bond do the James Bond stuff. Okay? Like, that's why I'm paying the money. I'm not paying you to, tell me the secret origins unless you're going to do it in, 20 minutes and then get to the James Bond stuff. Yeah. And that's what they tried to do. They tried to stretch it all out. There was this new thing in Hollywood for a long time, we're not going to give people what they want. We're going to tease them with it and then give it to them like 3 movies down the way or 5 episodes in or 2 seasons in. There's a certain, way you can do that, but you got to also deliver on something. And that's the problem. Like a Joker movie, you want to see Batman kick his ass eventually. He's not a good enough character to carry a movie. He's just not. He's not that interesting. And you won't root for him. He's an asshole.
Well,
he kills people.
Just say how you really feel, man. Like, apparently Tony's done shooting down the standalone Joker film. Like, don't go see that shit, ladies and gentlemen. That's what he said.
No, look, maybe it'll be good. Like, movies are different than comics, so maybe it'll be a study in darkness that, really puts together a couple of things. But, like, it's like this Gotham TV show, right? I don't know how anybody would want to, they might as well call that show Not Batman. Welcome to Not Batman. We're going to talk about Batman. We're going to see all the things around Batman, but you're not going to see Batman. Welcome to Not Batman. It's like, the Not Roseanne show. Welcome to the Not Roseanne show. It was Roseanne. Roseanne's gone. We're going to talk around Roseanne.
No, fuck that. Can I just say, though, and fuck DC, because while I was doing a bit of research and trying to find out everything that was coming up, I came across this image of the upcoming Marvel Cinematic Universe releases. And I don't even think this shit's real, but I swear to God, it's like my personal fucking wish list.
Okay.
No, dude, it's...
What? I'm looking at the Newsarama one. What are you looking at?
Well, it goes Spider-Man Academy.
Spider-Man Academy? What year is that? I don't even see that one.
I don't fucking know. Doctor Strange Illuminati, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, Black Widow Leviathan, The Mighty Thor, a Fantastic Four film.
Wow, Newsarama really dropped the ball then. I don't see any of those. Let me see. You're at a Marvel movie schedule? Is that what it says?
Fucking you can find this shit 30 different ways, though. And don't nobody know what the fuck's right unless you actually get it from fucking Disney. And even then, they switch it up.
Let's see, Marvel. Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's not going to be written in stone, but, at least you get an idea. Let's see. Marvel movie schedule. Here we go.
But hey, look, here's why it's my dream list. Look, then you got Wasp, Escape from the Microverse, Black Panther's Secret Empire. That's awesome. Spider-Man Dimensions. So they're obviously implying that they're going to bring in more than one Spider-Man. A Nova movie. Captain Marvel and the Valkyries. Ant-Man and the Masters of Evil. Warlock. The Thunderbolts.
Warlock?
The Thunderbolts. And then the last one listed on... This is supposed to be Phase 4. The last one listed on this, which would make my fucking day, is the Avengers vs. X-Men film.
Well, that would be fun.
Yeah, that...
I'm all about that.
To see that, I don't even give a fuck how they do it. Like, look, just... You can give me the actors that are currently playing the X-Men and currently playing the Avengers, throw them in a film and just have them pissed at each other and fight. And I'm good. Just to watch the fights, I'm good.
Yeah, I mean, I think X-Men versus Avengers would be tons of fun. I mean, I would love to see them do the Secret Wars movie, but I don't think they can without the Fantastic Four, and they'd have to rework it somehow. Probably rework it with Thanos.
They've got the rights to the Fantastic Four now, though, Tony, and they're actually
but nobody wants to see those characters. They've shit the bed in that movie so many times.
Let me propose this theory to you, though. Right?
Go ahead.
So, Captain Marvel is going to be set in like 1990 something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that movie is going to be before all the shit that we've seen in the Marvel Cinematic Universe right now. Like, Captain Marvel is taking place before Infinity War by a great deal. So, if there's been this character, Captain Marvel, in the Marvel Universe and just no one's known, who's to say the fucking Fantastic Four haven't been there? And they've just been stuck in the negative zone the past whatever years, and they're gonna introduce them not with an origin story, with them busting onto fucking Earth with a nihilist following them going, oh shit, we've got to deal with this.
I would love that personally.
That's how you bring in the Fantastic Four. No origin.
Yeah,
No, don't even explain Doctor Doom to me. I don't need to fucking hear or see Richard's goddamn anything. Just have him bust out of the negative zone with the Annihilus wave following him out of nowhere.
Yeah, I'd be all about it. I don't think they're going to do it, but, you know, you don't see it on the list there, right? Fantastic Four. So I think they've kind of tried it a bunch of times, and they just have sort of given up. But, you know, I think the guys who've been doing the Marvel movies have so far been great. I'm worried about the Captain Marvel movie, though, because I have not been super excited about what I've seen. Unlike all the other trailers coming out of Marvel, I'm not super pumped about it. It looks okay. I mean, but I don't know what the story is, and that worries me. You know, when I watch the other trailers, I got a sense of the story, and I don't have a good sense of the story with Captain Marvel.
But you ever think that there's a reason they're really trying to keep it under wraps? Especially with them they're gonna introduce the Skrull, as well as the Kree, because, you know, Miss Marvel has a history, Captain Marvel. Sorry, Miss Marvel, too many comic, that's just comic book shit. That's what she was before she was Captain Marvel. And in introducing that, what's to say that they're not gonna be working a bunch of other angles and they just don't want to let people know yet? Because that could very much lead to the secret, or the Secret Wars.
I'm open to it, and it's definitely going to tie in. Look, we all know that Captain Marvel's going to tie right into Infinity War, and then she's going to save everybody somehow. So, you know, that's the way it's headed, it looks to me. I'm just worried my worry is that the same people who are doing the new Star Wars movies have bled over into the Marvel movies and are starting to impact it. Because what you have to understand is Captain Marvel originally was a man. They've retrofitted him as a woman in the comics, and now that's come into the movie screen. And there's nothing wrong with that per se, but the comic, in my view, has been adrift. Unlike a lot of the other comics, you know, that these Marvel movies are based on, they were pretty grounded in their stories. Captain Marvel's just sort of like, oh, here's another hero with, like, she shoots rays out of her hand. You know, she doesn't have, like, a super cool, grounded story that people could be excited about, in my view. So,
she's just kind of an Air Force pilot that did end up getting powers from being fucked with by the Kree, and then she ended up taking over the name of Captain Marvel and just shortened it to Captain Marvel. Before she was going by Miss Marvel. So, I mean, I see your point in that, man. I don't know. I feel like if they do it right, though, they could definitely add a different layer to the Marvel.
Oh, absolutely.
But
I mean, look, Marvel, I didn't want to like the Marvel franchise at all when I heard about it. I was like, oh, I hate Disney, and, you know, this is probably going to be bad. But, man, time and time again, I watch it and I go, wow, this was really good. I mean, I'm surprised. I'm so shocked at the level of detail, and, you know, so I'm perfectly willing to be surprised yet again to go, wow, that was a pretty good movie. Like, holy shit, they can keep this thing going. So maybe it'll be great. I feel like the trailer was different than all the previous trailers in that the story didn't seem to be there yet. So I'm a little worried, and that, you know, that scene in the blockbuster, okay, that's a cool thing. Thanks for that visual, but that's not a story. That it takes place in the 90s is not a story. That is an aspect of the story, you know, and also, too, that Samuel L. Jackson's going to be in it. Like, I'm kind of sick of seeing Samuel L. Jackson in movies, but I kind of understand why he's in there. I mean, that's
blasphemy, sir. Sir, that is fucking blasphemy.
Look, Samuel L. Jackson is doing credit card commercials. Like, he's everywhere, man. You know, and it's like, I mean, on the one hand, like, this will be a different part. Hopefully he's not going to be like Curse of the Blue Streak, you know, like he normally does with a lot of his characters. It'll be a different kind of, you know, Nick Fury is sort of a different kind of role for him. But you know, I'm a little worried that things are getting overdone in the Marvel Universe. Look, they've had their share of, like, not so great. Like, the second Thor movie is not so great. It's okay, it's passable, and then we had better movies after it, so it kind of all blends in. I kind of sense that that's going to be the case with Captain Marvel. It's going to be okay. It's not going to be their best.
But I'm okay with that,
they'll go
Tony.
into Infinity War and it'll be fine.
I'm okay with that. There's going to be, like, not every Marvel movie is going to be great, but until they get to the point where it's like, you know, every Nick Fury on Earth was an LMD, and he's actually out in space keeping track of the fucking extreme hostile aliens and sniping them with some kind of super fucking crazy cannon space fuck off sci-fi gun. This is actually part of Marvel Comics' real storyline, just so everyone knows out there. I'm really not making this shit up. This shit actually happened in the comics. All right. Until they get to that point in the movies, man, I think I'm totally okay with it.
Yeah, I mean, I am too, as long as, you know, it's watchable. My worry is that if this movie, you know, because there's been a lot of whining out of Hollywood about this whole toxic fandom, and because Captain Marvel is a woman in a lead movie, that if the movie doesn't do super well, the first thing they're going to say is, oh, well, obviously it's a toxic fandom. You know, it's not that maybe the movie wasn't as good as the previous incarnation. It's you fans that are the ones to blame. I mean, that was the attitude after Ghostbusters and even a little bit from that Ocean's 8 remake with all women?
Yeah, Ocean's 8 or 9, whatever the fuck it was. I don't care. And I heard that same thing about Solo. And I honestly think about Solo, they're right. Because, look, I watched Solo, and I don't see why the fuck anyone has a problem with that movie.
My problem with Solo is this.
I shouldn't have said a goddamn thing.
Well, look. Solo, to me, was always the biggest badass in the Star Wars universe. You know, this is the guy who shot Greedo first. And there was one of the scenes I really enjoyed in Solo was the scene where he meets Chewbacca. That's like a fun scene. That's the whole reason I went to see the damn movie. My friend dragged me to it, and I said, well, at least I'm going to see the scene where they meet. And that was cool. But the rest of the movie smacks too much of, you know, Han Solo doing everybody a favor. And his character when he's in the other movies is a guy who's incredibly jaded, who knows everybody's out to screw him, and, you know, he realizes that he's kind of a dark guy, ultimately. And he was too nice of a guy in this movie. And the end of the movie where he gives away all his money to the rebels, like, totally out of character for Han.
All right, no. See, I disagree, all right? You're right. Han's always been a hard ass. But he was also the guy that always helped people that were in a tough spot when they were in the right morally. Like, look at what he did for the Rebel Alliance throughout that whole first series of films. And he didn't do that for fucking, you know, tribute or anything. He did that because it was technically the right thing to do, and he was caught in a moment, and he made the right decision morally. And I think that Solo specifically showed him kind of develop that moral compass, but at the same time become really jaded because everybody was fucking him over, and I was like, I'm gonna shoot these fucking bitches, I swear. And it also showed the representation of he did shoot Guido first, because, man, he shot old boy.
Yeah, but, you know, there were just so many. Part of the problem was not with the character. And it was a huge mistake to do the Kessel Run. Huge mistake. That was something that didn't need to be shown. It was much better to just hear about it. But, like, part of the problem with the whole Star Wars franchise now is this. When you watch the original 3 movies, the implication is the Empire took over, right? And so that means that prior to the Empire, there were all these planets, and they had their own governments, and they had their own thing to do, and so it's okay that the Empire's just steamrolling everybody. They're at the height of their power. They run the show. You don't really have to explain how things worked prior to the Empire in those movies. The problem with Solo is you do have to explain how the fucking universe works prior to those movies. And there's no sensible explanation of how prior to the Empire, as the Empire is on its rise, how this shit is working. It makes no fucking sense. There's no sense of like what the currency is, what the politics are.
Oh no! Look, are you shitting me? I'll give you a real quick fucking sense of how that is. That's like the world before the internet, when fucking countries were really truly separated. Everybody had their complete own currency. Everyone was kind of really lost. Like if fucking 100 years ago, if you went to another country, you didn't know what the fuck you were getting into.
Yeah, to some extent, unless you read about them. I mean, there were books.
So that's my point.
But that's not
if you wanted to find out about Tatooine, you needed to pick up a fucking book and read before the Empire expanded.
No. They're in a very advanced civilization where they've got ships that can travel from planet to planet. The internet is nothing at that point.
Okay, so maybe it's a book on fucking digital tape or whatever, Tony. My point is I mean, it wasn't connected to the point where it was one nation like this world will be if it ever becomes a one world nation. It's more like what this world is now, but just on a far larger scale, being interplanetary.
Right, but you have to clearly define, like, what part of the thing that wasn't clearly defined in Solo was who were these guys, these gangsters, and how did they operate? The only major factions in Solo were the Empire, the gangsters, and the guys who sold weapons to the Empire. Like, who did the Empire conquer or fight to get their money? Like, where are all the people who just sell shit? They go to this mine. Like, who runs the mine? The only people who exist are the Empire, gangsters, and people who sell weapons. So, like, who protects the fucking mines? Like, no one. They're just there. So there's no, all like, right. In the world of Star Trek, that stuff's clear. There's the Federation. There's a couple of civilizations that they meet, like the Klingons or the Romulans, and they all have their separate governments, and they have multiple planets, and there's like a separation, and you can kind of, like, you don't know all the details, but you get a sense of it. Like, you get a sense of, like, the Romulans are tyrannical. The Klingons are all warriors. The Federation, they're all the good guys.
Okay, like, now, do you ever think, though, that has a lot to do, because, excuse me, like, if you look in the prequels, they kind of tried to do that, like, here's the Trade Federation, and then here's the Republic, and
right.
Here's this.
But
like,
they
tried
fail
to set that up.
But they fail at it. And part of the reason they fail at it because they fail at explaining what the Jedi's function is in that world. They fail to, like in Star Trek, what they do is they keep them separate by saying, okay, the Federation are all human, basically. There's a few other aliens in it, but it's mainly humans. And then, like, the Klingons, you know who the Klingons are. The moment you see a Klingon, you know they're not in the Federation. Part of the problem with Star Wars is they just keep adding aliens, and they can be in anything. And so it's harder to define who they are. So
all I know is, what we really failed to do, Tony?
What?
Stay on topic.
That's right. All right, so let's get back to...
No, look, because for real, I just wanted to point out, like, I wanted to get into, like, when the first comic book movies were really made, that being 1942, 44, and 49, with serials from Batman, Captain America, and Superman, respectively.
Oh, well, yeah. Yeah. I mean, all that stuff.
That's that
cool.
old school shit.
Yeah, it's very old.
Yeah.
And then, like, for many years, you couldn't convince Hollywood that superheroes or comic book movies were a good thing. Now you can't convince them to stop making these fucking movies.
Let me ask you. I'm very curious. What do you think really truly kicked off the comic book movie craze? Like, what movie was it, do you think, had people going, oh, we can just grab any comic book and make it?
Well, you know, it's cyclical. So, you know, in '89 when they made the Keaton Batman movie, it was a monster hit. You know, Superman did do well back in the day, and it was a pretty big hit, and they made some sequels. But, like, Batman's more comic booky than Superman in a lot of ways, right? Because Superman kind of like, it's just him. And Batman, it's like him, the Joker, the Penguin, and like all these crazy characters. So it's way more comic booky. So I think a lot of the credit goes to '89 Batman, which sort of launched a mini renaissance of comic book movies. They did Blade not too long after, which was a pretty good series. And they did stuff like The Crow and Road to Perdition and things like that. You know, I think The Crow deserves some credit too, because then that was like, oh, we got to find these graphic novels because they're like, you know, drawn movies, and then we could just make them like we made The Crow, and that made a lot of money. So, you know, they're always looking for grist for the mill in Hollywood.
I think you just named two, though, Tony, that really, at least in my opinion, helped convince Hollywood that, oh, we can just kind of grab shit that's unknown that people really, and just do like a movie and it'll do well as long as it's a good story. And that being Blade and The Crow. Because those are two things when they were initially put out, a lot of people didn't realize those were comic book based movies.
Yep, exactly. And most people don't know Road to Perdition's a graphic novel. And I was shocked to find out it was. I didn't know it was when I heard the movie came out. And that's my one minor, like, nitpicky thing about the current Marvel Universe. I would love for them to bring Wesley Snipes back as Blade in the Marvel Universe. That would be a phenomenal moment if they did that. Like, if they brought him back in the second Infinity War and he helped save the day, holy shit, I'd be so happy. But I don't think they're going to do it.
Yeah. I see.
It would be great. There was a bit of a rumor that said maybe they were talking to Snipes about coming back, but man, that would be huge. I think people would love to see another Blade movie now under the whole Marvel umbrella. I don't know who owns Blade though. I think it's another property.
I'm pretty sure the rights to that reverted back to Marvel. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because, I mean, they did the trilogy of films with Wesley Snipes, and then they tried to do the unsuccessful TV series on Spike TV, which I don't recommend you check out. People say it's good. I didn't enjoy it personally. I enjoyed the 3 films that Snipes did, though. And, yeah, like you said, I'd love to see him brought back in, man, because with what they've got access to now, they can make it such a deeper character.
Yeah.
You think they'd have the nerve to just bring in Dracula, though, if they brought in Blade?
You know, that would be fun. Like Dracula, Werewolf by Night, all those characters. I don't think people really know those characters, though.
No.
So, I don't. I mean, they know Dracula, of course, but you know, they don't know them as comic book characters.
Yeah.
Maybe like if they ever. It's a shame they couldn't. Shame that Ghost Rider movies didn't really do well, because that was sort of like, you know, in his vein, doing like a Ghost Rider Blade thing. So I don't know, maybe I would just love to see the Blade character come back simply because he's in Marvel, and it would just be a great callback. It would be a crazy moment. You know, even if they just put him in the after credits one time and tease the movie, holy shit, people would go bananas.
Give him a fucking Netflix fucking series.
Yeah, or that. Yeah, throw him in that lineup of Daredevil and all those guys. That's just been decent. I enjoyed the first season of Luke Cage. I thought that was cool.
Have you seen the Punisher series?
No, I hear good things. I want to see that. I I'm so behind. There's so many episodes of Jessica Jones and Daredevil. I've seen a couple of Daredevils. And, you know, it's a good series. I just don't have time to watch them all. I mean, who has time to watch all those and then everything in the Arrowverse and all the CW stuff? It's just like so much.
Yeah, no.
You know, I don't have time to
I
read
don't
the
think
comics.
you could legit. Like, I
I
don't
don't
think
have
you
time
could
to watch the TV
realistically.
shows.
Oh, say what?
I don't have time for the comics or the TV
Yeah.
shows these days.
Well, no, I don't think you could realistically watch everything comic book related that comes out nowadays, excluding cartoons. I'm not including cartoons. I'm just talking live action stuff.
Right.
Because that's,
Yeah.
I mean, that's a fucking lot of shit, Tony. From the movies on
It is.
Marvel, DC, and then everyone else that's releasing films that aren't from either of those two big companies, to all the different TV series and projects. I mean, you probably have an hour or two a day at least that you would have to watch to keep up. Maybe, probably more, because, yeah, they got all the Arrowverse with Supergirl and Black Lightning, the fucking Legends of Tomorrow, and, oh, Jesus. And then Gifted. Yeah, no. Fuck. How could you keep up with all that? Wow. That's... You ever realize how weird it is, Tony? Because, I mean, I know you
And Legion. Don't forget Legion.
Well, and I know you got some years on me, though. But ain't it funny? Because, you know, when we were young, I know when you were young, and I know when I was young, comic books were, like, looked at and looked down upon. Like, you're a fucking nerd.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They're still looked down upon. They still are.
Well,
You
then
don't
how
read
the fuck
fucking
is it
comics.
they're in every fucking form of media imaginable?
Well, because the great thing about comics is they were popular enough to exist, but they weren't so popular that people scrutinized them. So there's great eras of comics where people could do whatever the fuck they wanted, and they did, and they were awesome. You know, it unfortunately right now we're not in that era, and that's why I think a lot of the comics, they're too scrutinized. They're over. You know, there's too many overly sensitive people on the internet and places, and that's why you got Bat Dick. It's you know, it would be great if we could just hire some people to do some cool shit, and they did it, and nobody, you know, people read it, and that was it. Instead, it's just like everything's scrutinized, and it's been that way for a while. You know, when my friend was drawing Batman, you know, the pressure was on him, and they were redesigning things, and you know, it was a high pressure gig.
Hey,
really
at
was.
least he didn't have the high pressure of having to draw the Bat Dick, man. I mean, whew.
That's right.
That's like imagine the art. Imagine you're the guy that's look. I need you to draw Batman naked, full frontal. It's like, what, motherfucker? Did you just ask me to draw Bat Dick? Did you really just ask me that? Like,
Doesn't make any sense to me. It's like, what is it accomplishing? You know, what Batman fan is like, oh, I can't wait to see his cock. I mean, no Batman that I know would really want to see that.
There's probably one
don't
out
get
there,
it.
Tony. Let's be fucking honest. There's probably one out there. All right.
I mean, what next? Are we going to have the Batman Robin erotic fan fiction in there next?
No,
I mean,
it's like I told my wife. God damn it! If they were gonna do some shit like that, like some kind of publicity to try and fucking sell books, why couldn't they have just had it to where it was Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy scissoring? Come the fuck on. Comic books are mainly bought by males. That's where you're gonna sell your books.
Because that's sexist. You're a sexist misogynist for suggesting that. However, I'm a righteous new art guy because I'm putting a penis in. I mean, you know, it's the double
you know
standard.
what? You know what I say to that, Tony?
What?
All you motherfuckers with that fucked up opinion can suck my dick. I don't give a fuck. Put in the dick. Put in the scissoring. Put in a chick with a dick. I don't give a shit. Like, are you fucking serious? Can y'all get out of your fucking butthurt little fucking glittery fucking having egotistical motherfucking asses and realize that the world's kind of screwed up? We should just deal with it and laugh at shit when it's fucked up?
Well, but the thing is, who are the comics aimed at? What is the audience here? That's the real question. How old are you, unknown factor?
I'm 33.
Okay, you're at the top end. You're just in, right? Because normally the demographic is 18 to 35 male. That's normally the demographic. But now they're trying to get women in too, and that is not the same. And that's part of the issue here. And it's in the process of trying to, I think, appeal to women, they're driving away the men, and no women are lining up to take their place. I don't think there are enough women interested in comics that if you drag every fangirl to the comic book store every week, that they could replace all the men who love comics, even like, you know, just sort of borderline. So it's, you know, if DC has and Marvel have decided, well, we're going to try to appeal to everybody, then it's just going to be a watered down version of, you know, comics. But there are ways to do that can appeal to everybody. The Batman animated series comic was a great comic. It was great. The artwork was nice and clean. You could see everything. It was nothing, you know, it was very simple. The stories were good. They were like the TV series. It was a fun book and totally worth reading. I totally recommend the Batman animated series comic.
I recommend that if you got all I do.
They can't make more comics like that.
Well, all I know, Tony, is I recommend that if you got a hold of a issue 1 of Batman Damned before it was pulled from the shelves, hold on to that bitch, because it's probably going to be worth something.
Yeah, I mean, that's a weird thing about comics, too. Like, when something's hot, like, then you can't get a copy of it. So,
oh, well, no. You didn't know. Tony, they pulled that shit off the shelves fairly shortly.
Why?
Because it's got Bat Dick in it, and it was pissing people off.
Oh, okay. You're talking about the Bat Dick thing.
Yeah,
oh, well,
yeah, that was Batman Damned, number 1. That's why I had the Bat Dick in it.
Publicity stunt. I mean, maybe that was part of the plan all along to generate some interest. But, like, that kind of collector mentality has hurt the comic industry so bad. I mean, you know, for years there have been these cover things, these cover gimmicks. Well, you know, if you order 50 copies, then you get the Platinum Edition. And that's worth $100 because you had to order, you know, 50. And, you know, it just drives up the sales. Part of driving up sales in the world of comics is just driving them up at the store. And then it's the store's problem to sell them because it's non-returnable. And that has created a very artificial market. You know, it used to be back in the day when I used to go to comic book stores, my comic book store could order X-Men, Chris Claremont X-Men back in the 80s. They could order an extra 4 or 5 copies. After about 2 or 3 weeks, they'd slap an extra $1 on that comic, and it would sell. Then a few weeks later, they'd slap $2 on it, $3 on it. And, you know, it would just keep going up in price because everybody had to have their X-Men. Chris Claremont X-Men was the shit.
Yeah.
You didn't miss an issue. And if you did, you were willing to pay $5 extra to go back to get it in the 80s when that was a lot of money for a comic. You know, that was back when the comics were $2. You had to pay $7 for a fucking comic. That was a lot of money for a comic. Now it's just like nothing matters. The continuity doesn't matter. The numbers don't matter. Nothing matters. So there's no back issue sales because they've burned through every story. They've undid everything. And that's the problem with comics. So they need to stop doing that. They need to say, okay, stop. We're going to build a readership again. And we're going to build good stories. We're going to have good characters. And people will need to buy all of them. We're not just going to turn around and put out graphic novels with the same fucking stuff a month later because then nobody will buy the single issues. So you have to give people a reason to buy the single issues if you want to sell single issues. You
know, Tony, in that whole line of thought, you realize they could just really end up doing that with the films, both DC and Marvel, to where they're having to recycle it so much. Which, and I'm sure someone will yell at me somewhere about this. I kind of feel like DC's already done that with Batman a little bit.
Yeah, you know, they've done so many versions of Batman, and it was too soon to bring in a new Batman. Christian Bale's Batman just ended.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same thing with the Spider-Man movies. It was too soon. It was too soon to reboot Spider-Man after Tobey Maguire.
I'm cool with the way they did it in Marvel. Only because, like, they didn't even initially introduce him as a standalone character. Like, he was just brought into Captain America. And the way he was brought in, I think it was done very well. Because, I mean, they needed that character. They needed that character in the Marvel U. Let's be real honest. When they had access to him. You say not really?
No, absolutely. I totally agree.
Yeah.
I love the new Spider-Man. The current Spider-Man's awesome. Tom Holland's great. You know, the movie, I really enjoyed that first Spider-Man movie. It was great. The Civil War thing was great. I'm looking forward to the second one.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to Tom Holland fighting Venom. I think that's going to be a great matchup that they're building to.
Oh,
I mean,
dude. Oh, that'll be, if they do that too, because it's the appropriate difference in, like, because the only other time they did Venom, it was Old Boy from the 70s show. And I was like, who the fuck you got playing Brock? Like, what the fuck is this?
I don't think you'd see. You might see Eddie Brock, but you wouldn't see Venom. Venom Venom wasn't even created until the Secret Wars.
Well, no. I'm talking about in the films. He was in Spider-Man 3.
Oh yeah. Oh,
yeah, it was just how piss poor it was done. As opposed to if you've got,
kind of just threw him in there.
Yeah. As opposed to if you've got Tom Hardy facing the Spider-Man that's currently Spider-Man, that's so much more an appropriate recreation of the comic, I guess I would say. I don't know. It's all about how they handle this Venom film, man. Like, but I mean, you got two films coming up right now, that being Venom and Joker, that are both based on villains and their origin stories of villains without having the
now Joker's
hero.
According to this list, Joker's not until next year in October, right? Or do you have a sooner date for Joker?
Oh man, I ain't got that date pulled up. I'm honestly not sure.
Okay, according to this list on Newsarama, Joker is October 4th, 2019, so that's next year. It looks like it's Venom this weekend, which I'm definitely going to go see. Then the animated Spider-Man, which is, it doesn't really count.
Yeah.
Aquaman, December 21st, against the untitled Deadpool movie, which Deadpool's going to completely steamroll it.
Yeah, Aquaman got fucked with no lube by one merc with a mouth.
Yeah, that's not going to be a fair matchup. I mean, even if the movie's halfway decent. Then in 2019, we got from Fox an independent comic movie, Alita Battle Angel, which I never even read. I remember the comic. Then in March, we got the Captain Marvel movie, which I'm still open-minded enough that I will go see, probably. I don't think I'll see the Aquaman movie. Are you going to see the Aquaman movie?
Fuck no.
All right. Now, the Shazam movie is interesting. That's April next year. You know, it looks it could be fun. It could be fun. I don't know. I mean, the trailer didn't look awful, so I might go see that. I don't know.
It did look entertaining. I'll give him that. It looks like that's something that could maybe help bring the DC Extended U back to, you know, a better standing than it's at, which is shitty.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like it's going to be a light, fun movie, so maybe it'll work. Then a week later is Hellboy, a revamp of Hellboy, which I'll probably go see. I mean, I thought the earlier Hellboys were good, but this one probably be okay.
I heard they're going to base that more upon the actual comic book works, too. Like, it's going to be based way more closely upon the comics, which is going to get into more mystics and all kinds of weird shit. So, I look forward to that, but I'm really afraid they'll fuck it up hardcore.
We'll see. Then in May is the second part of the Infinity War. Can't wait.
Yeah.
Can't fucking wait for that movie. That's going to be awesome. June of next year is Dark Phoenix. Now, what do you think of this movie? I've seen some teasers for it.
I haven't seen the teaser yet. I need to fucking check that out. I seen it was released, but then I fucking spaced going and checking it out, even though I meant to. I'm curious.
It's just her transforming.
Oh, well, see, I actually hear they're going to do it to where they're sending them into space, though. And it's actually going to be the Phoenix Force. As opposed to every other time, it's just kind of, oh, she has that level of power. You know, every other time they've done it in a film anyways.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, so I'm curious to, yeah. That could get really interesting.
I mean, to me, it was always, you know, I liked some of the X-Men movies. I like the current crop okay enough. I don't know if the Dark Phoenix saga is all that. You know, I don't know if they can hang a movie on that without it, by ignoring the tie-ins that they've kind of already dealt with in Days of Future Past. You know, but we'll see.
Well, here's a theory of mine. So Disney's in the middle of buying Fox, right?
Oh, right, yeah.
All right.
Forgot about that. I think they bought them already.
I don't. It's not finalized. I don't think. I think they're still like actually going through the finalization. Like, 'cause I don't even want to know what it would be like for a corporation to absorb another corporation that's that big, and how many fucking papers you got to file and sign. And I would probably stab myself in the head before I got through it. I'm not even gonna lie to you, Tony. But in doing that, if that's all finalized, Avengers Infinity War and Dark Phoenix, I would think, are going to be coming out right around the time where that's finalized. And if you want to combine the universes, and you want to kind of do a reset of everything a little bit, but not a real reset, just kind of bring everything together and make it a little crazier, well, the Infinity Gauntlet and the Phoenix Force could certainly explain that in a storyline, couldn't they?
Yeah, I've got to think, though, that all this stuff is being done or has been done already. So the deal still could fall through. So I don't think they're planning that yet. I think it's probably too soon to expect that in the movies. I think you might see a teaser, you know, at the end of that movie if the deal's finalized before it comes out and they have a time to shoot something. I don't like the deal, by the way. I think it's creating far too big of an entity in entertainment.
Yeah, agreed. I definitely. That's one thing about this deal. Like, it's nice to me. The only thing that I like about this deal is that Marvel is going to get back pretty much rights to pretty much everything except Spider-Man, which will still be owned by Sony. Even though Sony's letting them lend in whatever the fucking, you know, whatever agreement they made behind the fucking closed curtains of fucking CEOs sucking each other's dick and sucking lines off each other's fucking, or lines of coke off each other's ass, what the fuck ever.
Jeez. Why don't
what,
you tell
man?
us how you really
Look, I
feel?
got no
Holy
fucking
shit,
trepidations about the fact that all those CEO corporate fucks, they do some pretty evil shit, you know? Because look, when you get to a point where you have so much money and can do pretty much anything, you're going to do some fucking dumber, really irregular shit because you're like, well, I can, right? That's just the truth.
Well, that, you know, look, I mean, just because you're rich doesn't mean you're a total prick. I mean, there are people that are trying to make money.
It gives you a way higher percentage of a chance of being a total prick, though, Tony. That's all I'm saying.
Well, yeah, but who among us hasn't been tempted by power? I mean, you have it.
Well,
so,
certainly. I mean, that's definitely.
If tomorrow, No Fucks Given Radio becomes this $10 billion entity, I mean, who knows what would happen to your brain? You might go off the deep end just like one of these guys. I mean, their job is to make money.
If this became a $10 million company tomorrow, first off, what I'm doing is I'm getting every host in the same state. If it's a $10 billion company and anybody wants to argue with me about it, I'll be like, dude, I'm sorry. Like, I'm offering you a fucking $1 million to fucking relocate, and you're really gonna fucking tell me no? Like, what the fuck is your fucking problem? Are you fucking serious? Like, there would be a lot of fucks in that conversation at that point when whoever said no.
Right.
Like, it's a goddamn $1 million. What the fuck? Yeah.
Well, you'd be an interesting CEO.
That would probably.
You don't get to be CEO by giving away $1 million to your talent that quickly, but.
No. That's just to get everybody in one location so I can properly crack the whip to make it work properly. What are you talking about?
No, you hire people to crack the whip. That's the whole point. You don't have time for that stuff. You got to go out and spend your money. But anywho,
I don't know how I feel about that, man. I mean, and I don't mean just like because I wouldn't necessarily like. You're telling me to ostensibly release control and trust this radio with a bunch of motherfuckers. Not that there are a bunch of motherfuckers that I don't trust the radio with in some capacity, whether it's Ickham and Demo over in, Brutal Entertainment fucking talk show, or fucking, Bobby with Everybody Eats, or Mike Recca and Bewitched when they take over with rap affiliates, or DKB helping me out with loading shit into the server. There are plenty of guys that have people, or that have access to this radio, but to make it to where I was just out spending money, no, man, I couldn't do that shit, Tony. I'd lose my shit.
All right. Before I continue on this list, do we have any questions in the chat, by the way? Did anybody else come in? Or
no, they're just being assholes.
Huh?
They're just being assholes.
Oh, okay. Do we have more than one asshole, or just like one?
Oh, there's
the same guy from last month?
There's a couple, man. They ain't being talkative, though. Nobody's fucking talkative. They're like, get off this fucking comic book. They're probably like, get off this comic book shit. Isn't this a radio station? Shouldn't you play music? And I'm like, fuck you. This is comic book Oblivion. We're talking about the fact that, sincerely, comics are like really going down the tube. You kind of depress me every month with this show a little bit, Tony. You tell me some shit, and I'm like, that's fucking sad.
Look, I mean, the movies are doing well. July 5th next year, Spider-Man Far From Home. That's another one I'm looking forward to.
Yeah.
I'll go see that. That should be good. August 2nd, New Mutants on Fox, or I guess that's a movie. I'm not sure. I don't know if the New Mutants can carry a movie, but, maybe. Maybe. Then October 4th is The Joker. I don't know. And November 1st is Wonder Woman 1984, which I hear the first Wonder Woman movie's great. I still haven't seen it. I do want to see it, so that might be good. I mean, that's an example of Gal Gadot, really carrying the movie. Then in 2020, we got Birds of Prey, which I had not heard about, but I don't know if that's a strong enough team to last on its own, but we'll see.
Well, who is that?
February 21st, this one was a shocker to me. Bloodshot from Valiant Comics, Sony. Did you hear about this?
Bloodshot?
Yeah. According to this, February 21st, 2020, Bloodshot. That's going to be interesting. And then March 13th, 2020, Gambit, which I think a lot of fans will be looking forward to. I don't know if by that time people will be really into it, but we'll see. Gambit on his own, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I don't.
And then the rest.
There's a reason that fucking movie's so hard to get made as far as the Gambit film. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, Gambit is a cool character, but I don't know if he can hang on his own. He's always sort of been like Boba Fett. Like, Boba Fett to me is much better as a side character.
No, see, I think Fett could carry a film way easier than Gambit could, but that's just my opinion. Yeah, I really do.
Now, after that, Newsarama's list is all untitled, but you had a better list, and I'm trying to find it.
Look, but I don't even think, I don't even know if that list is true. That's the problem when you're looking into shit as far as with comic book movies. Like, everybody makes so much speculation. Like I said, I found something that was saying Avengers X-Men, which would be dope. If the end of Phase 4 is the Avengers versus X-Men film, fuck yeah. That's awesome. Will they confirm that right now? Fuck no.
Oh, okay. So it's somebody guessing then, you're saying?
Look, like I said, I was just going through anything and everything I could find. And I found a lot of things as far as what they said was coming, wasn't coming. And, I mean, it varies depending on the source.
There's a lot of DC films coming in 2020. There's like 4 DC films in 2020. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 Marvel film from Marvel Studios films, and then 3 Fox movies, which would be Marvel characters. So then it starts to slow down in 2021. There's slated 4 Marvel movies, 1 from Fox and the rest from Marvel Studios. And then 2022, they have 3 Marvel Studios films slated. I mean, it just goes on and on. I mean, 2022, that's like 4 years from now. Jesus.
Hey,
crazy.
Man. Plan for the future, I guess. I mean, they really are too. That's what I don't think. It amazes me looking at the history of comic books to see it go from something that, you know, I was kind of made fun of, like, why are you fucking reading comic books, to now I see somebody in a Deadpool shirt and I'm like, hey, you a Deadpool fan? And they don't know shit about the character, but they will say that they're a Deadpool fan. But they don't know shit about Deadpool.
Yeah.
They're like,
true.
They're like, he's a mutant. And I'm like, no, he's not. You fucking idiot. And I walk away.
Let's see. Trying to find another list here.
I'm that asshole. I mean, you know he's not a mutant. Right, Tony?
What is he then, if he's not a mutant?
He was genetically altered in the Weapon X experiments and given Logan's DNA. So I guess technically he is a mutant in the fact that he was genetically altered later, but he's not a mutant in the fact that he wasn't born that way.
Oh, okay. But that's not what it is in the movie.
No, in the movies, they're just like, hey, we're going to give you this thing, and it's going to help kick in any fucking mutant genes you may have, and now we're going to torture the fuck out of you, and you're going to turn into Deadpool. And that's how it was in the films. Yeah. In the comics, it's way the fuck worse how he, like, the bullshit he has to go through to become fucking Deadpool. Like, it's really, really bad. I've recently read a bunch of Deadpool comics, like, the past, like, 3 years worth, really. And, man, I don't know who had a hard-on for fucking over Deadpool the last couple years, but poor dude. Poor dude. Like,
all right, I found CBR confirmed Black Panther 2. So that's a gimme. I knew that was going to happen because the first one was so successful.
Oh, yeah.
How could they not make a sequel? I mean, of course. Black Panther 2, that'll probably be worth saying. I mean, the first one was decent.
Oh, yeah, I enjoyed the first Black Panther. I did. You can actually hear me and Lynch review that on a past episode of Talk Snuff for all you fucks out there listening.
Yep, I think this is your list. So then there's the rumored one. It says rumored Nova. This was... Now, they're talking about James Gunn, and I don't know if this was before James Gunn shot himself in the foot or they uncovered his, let's say, this was 2 months ago. So it was about the same time. So I don't know. I mean, they're not going to get James Gunn. You know, who knows? That whole thing. Now they're talking about ones they want. They want the Vision movie? I don't think so. Confirmed Black Widow. Ooh, that would be great. I would go see a Black Widow movie.
Yeah, I'm surprised she hasn't had a film.
Yeah, I know. They talk about, like, women in film. They have this character, Black Widow. She's all over the place. And Scarlett Johansson, the woman's starring in movies. It seems like a natural thing. What the hell, man? Give her a movie. A-Force. I don't know what A-Force is. Oh, I guess that's an Avengers spinoff.
Wait, A-Force?
That's rumored.
Are you, dude?
That's what they're saying. It's rumored.
Please tell me that's not going to be based on the fucking A-Force comic books. Well, I guess there were 2 different A-Force comic books, though. There was one that was an all-female team, which if they do that, that's fine. And then there was the other one that was on the M2 line that was like the son of Juggernaut and the daughter of Wolverine and Elektra. And
no, I think this is the first one, the Black Widow, the Wasp, Valkyrie, and Scarlet Witch.
So
they got the
that's
characters.
fine.
Do it.
That's fine. That's fine.
That makes sense. But that's only a rumor. Let's see. A rumored Thor 4. I don't know if they could pull a 4th Thor out of their butts. They destroyed, a lot of the Thor stuff around. The one they need to do, a 4th one, is Captain America, because that series has been great. The last the Civil War one was awesome.
Oh yeah.
But maybe they want to go out on a high note and not do that. Doctor Strange 2. Yep, I could see that. That's confirmed according to this. I could see another Doctor Strange movie.
Oh yeah, if they didn't make another one of those, I would be really surprised. Because I mean, like you said, the dude playing Strange is like, that's a fucking phenomenal choice. I don't think you could have casted a better actor to play Doctor Strange.
Rumored Ant-Man 3. Yeah, I could totally see that. I mean, the second one did pretty good. Not in humans. Confirmed Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Yeah, I can see that as well. I think that was slated at one point. I vaguely remember seeing that.
Yeah, but then there was an issue with the James Gunn, and that's what caused it not to be slated anymore.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah.
And then rumored Captain Marvel 2. It's kind of going to depend on number 1, I think.
Let me ask you.
That's about it. This list.
Let me ask you, Tony. I seen a rumor they were going to do a Celestials film.
Boy, I haven't heard that one.
Yeah, it's a rumor I've heard one time. So on that note, I'm curious, man. What crazy ass character from Marvel would you like to see them introduce into that cinematic universe? Like, because you got Thanos, you've got the Beyonder, you've got the Collector. I mean, you've got quite a few motherfuckers that are out there.
Yeah, I mean, I think. Well, we talked about the Fantastic Four. I would love to see Fantastic Four, as you described, done right, with Doctor Doom, fighting Doctor Doom and the Silver Surfer in the mix. I would love to see all those guys. But outside of that, let's see, who's left that I like in the Marvel Universe? I got to think about that for a minute. We've covered so many characters in the Marvel Universe. I definitely want to see Mysterio, and I think Mysterio's in the mix for the future Spider-Man movie.
He's supposed to be in the next Spider-Man film, which I agree, that's awesome. He's never been done in film, and I think that's a guy, especially with the CGI tech nowadays. Whew.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
He's going to be a fun guy. Let's see, who else? There's Spider-Man. There's the Hulk. They did most of the Hulk. There's the X-Men. We covered all the X-Men. Oh, boy. Who's left? Jeez.
I can think of a lot of characters I'd like to see pop up in the Marvel Cinematic EU.
Hit me with them. Let me hear.
I think Mephosa would be interesting. And then bring in Blackheart. I don't think they'll ever do that, though, because it ostensibly plays into their version of hell. And they don't want to go that dark.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Maybe Kraven the Hunter was a good character.
Kraven,
although he's dead in the comic.
That would be awesome. I'd be down with Kraven. I'd love to see the Sinister Six properly assembled in some capacity in a movie.
They might be building to that.
I mean, it kind of looks like they are. It does. And I mean, it ain't got to be the original Sinister Six. I'm not going to be that picky. I'd just like to see 6 villains that are Spider-Man villains that have some point been part of the Sinister Six that come together and are like, we got to fuck this goddamn teenager up. He's pissing us off. I'd like
that would
to see
be
that
fun.
done.
I'll tell you what I would like to see, but they'll never do it. Chris Claremont's, one of my favorite all-time Chris Claremont stories was when this crazy wizard, I think his name was like Kubla Khan or something. He takes over New York City and turns it into a medieval fortress. Do you remember this story? This is an old story.
No.
And because
what
he wants
the
to.
fuck?
It's the most amazing story. You got to go back and look for it. So he takes over all of New York City and uses his magic to turn it into a medieval fortress. And all the Marvel characters except Spider-Man get turned into the medieval versions of themselves because he wants to kill Spider-Man. And so Spider-Man's running around New York and everybody's trying to kill him. It's the best story ever. And it's an X-Men story because all the X-Men are in it too, and they're trying to beat the wizard, but as their medieval selves. It's an awesome story. You got to check it out.
Oh no! If we're gonna if we're gonna get into that level though of shit that we would love to see, like some alternate reality, fuck that. I want Age of Apocalypse. Either that or Onslaught. Woo!
I would pick Secret Wars over that, but
they ain't never gonna do the fucking Secret Wars right though. They'd never do either of those stories. They'd never do any of those storylines right. Age of Apocalypse, Onslaught, Secret Wars. They're all
I don't think those stories are strong enough. The thing that would be great about the Secret Wars is not the story. It's just that you would have, I mean, in a lot of ways, they kind of did it with Infinity War anyway. You'd have all the characters from the Marvel Universe fighting at once. All the characters, all the heroes and all the villains. Like, that's what you want to see, like an epic battle. You know, like every hero, even the ones that, every villain, even the ones that died, come back to life. And then, you know, all the characters have to fight them again. It would be great, you know, and if they got all the original actors, and then you could throw in Blade and all those guys, and, you know, it would just be crazy. But, like, I don't know, a movie like that, it would cost like $400 billion.
Oh, Jesus. And that's just to pay the fucking cast.
Yeah, you wouldn't even be able to follow the movie. I mean, part of the problem with Infinity War was trying to follow the damn movie. There were just too many stories going on at once.
Yeah, that definitely was a film that I think to really fully get it, you had to have watched at least 5 or 6 other movies for you to really comprehend.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah.
The lead into it.
Yeah, I think you needed to have watched that, Civil War. What else would have really been necessary for you?
Black Panther, definitely.
Yeah. So Black Panther, Civil War, and Ragnarok. And maybe just those 3, and you probably would have been good.
Yeah,
but you needed to watch those 3. That's sure. That's for goddamn sure. And that shows how fucking intricate comic book movies are becoming, man. And I personally love it, and it's gonna fall at some point, though. It will. I think when it falls.
Well, you know, it's suffering from the same things that the comics started to suffer from after a time with these big epic events. You know, how do you keep up in the ante to make it interesting? How many times can you take this character and revise them and revamp them? Like, things start to fray at the edges after a while when you make stories that big. And but the good thing about the movies is at some point they'll just wrap it and that'll be it. Or the actors will leave and they'll say, well, we're done for a while. The downside of all this is the Marvel movies have been so successful. Companies don't just turn off the switch and say, well, we'll come back to this later. They're going to they're going to squeeze every dollar out of it. So that's one of the sad things, I think, is with the current Star Wars movie. It just feels like a total cash grab. You know, Solo didn't make the money it should have. They're just squeezing it for all it's worth. And then they're going to squeeze it, I think, to the point where people will be so sick of it, and then they'll shelve the movie because it'll be like, okay, this is done. Let's move on to the next thing.
I will actually say, I found out that they're only going to release like a max of 2 Star Wars films per year based on the response they got from Solo. So they do actually intend to slow down the releases on the Star Wars. That's not going to happen with Marvel, obviously, until they get a real fucking shitty response to something, like people looking like, what the fuck was that goddamn piece of garbage? Like, you know, you're going to have to get that response to a film first.
And here's the thing. Here's the way movie studios work. And this is a problem, too. This was a problem with the run of X-Men with Patrick Stewart. So you watch the first X-Men with Bryan Singer, right?
Yeah.
Good movie. Real solid. Awesome. Yeah. Oh, they're going to make a sequel. Awesome. Let's see it. They were trying to lure, the movie studios were trying to lure Bryan Singer away from that franchise. They didn't want him to direct the sequel. So the way they did it was they cut his budget to try to drive him off the movie. He figured out a way to make it work. They tweaked the movie. They made the sequel. It was good, right? The sequel was good, too.
Yeah. Finally,
they gave him his dream job, which was that Superman movie that you mentioned where he lifts the mountain of kryptonite. That was his dream job. He wanted to recreate Superman and Christopher Reeve and the whole thing. Well, then you saw what happened to the third X-Men movie. And the rumor is, and this is fairly typical in Hollywood, when you are a studio exec and you come into a studio, you want all your projects to succeed, but you don't want any of your predecessors' franchises to continue, because then they look at that as, oh, that was the guy that we fired, not you. So there was a real drive, according to legend, that that the third X-Men movie tanked, and that's why it was bad, because they kind of designed it to tank. Like they hired a guy that, you know, maybe wasn't as experienced, and they just sort of slapped it all together and said, okay. And then, you know, and then part of it is like, if it doesn't make money, well, we'll just write it off, or we'll turn that bad movie and we'll still make money at it anyway somehow. Like, that's part of the problem with the movie industry too. Even when they make a bad movie and they know it, they're not going to say, well, we can't release that, it's terrible. They're going to say, we're going to figure out a way to make money. We got to make our money back.
You know what that ultimately shows you, Tony?
What's that?
It shows you that we human beings will be the motherfucking oblivion of everything in the end. It really, really.
Well, I don't. I have a more optimistic. Now you're being dark and I'm being optimistic. I have a more optimistic approach.
Wait. First off, I'm the unknown factor. God damn it. I'll be dark, light, fucking gray 1 second, white the next, black the next, fucking all of a sudden go red and then blue. Markers will be like, what's wrong with you? And I'll be like, I don't know.
You're an unknown factor. That's we can't know.
I got issues.
But, you know, like, the thing is, yeah, like, human beings screw things up eventually, but, you know, when you're talking about the world of capitalism, what's best for the long term? The guy who comes in, the studio exec who comes in and has the guts to say, oh, I'm okay with my predecessors' movies being successful. That's fine. We're making more money for the company. I'm just going to help out any way I can. I mean, it's those guys who transcend that system and become the great movie producers and the great movie studio executives. But those guys are few and far between. Mostly everybody, you know, most humans are shallow people who are just looking out for number one. And, you know, so have hope. I mean, that there will be somebody who transcends that and says, oh, you know, I don't want to see the Marvel movies tank, even though, you know, my predecessor started all this. I'm going to keep them continuing. They're making us a lot of money. Maybe that'll happen. Who knows?
Hopefully, man. Fuck, that's the mindset I try to have over here, you know, fucking. And on that, look, for everyone fucking listening to this, whether it's after the fact now, I don't give a fuck, radio, app, website, whatever, wherever the fuck you're at. Make sure you check out all the shows on No Fucks Given Radio and all the hosts as well. Check out the staff page. You can find links to everybody's shit as far as to find their music or art, whatever they do. You know, check out Tony's comics. Check out my music or some of the other hosts' music. Make sure you check that out because there's plenty there. As well as we'll be next. Excuse me. I need a drink, Tony. I fucking ran out. I can't lie. We'll be back next month. Right. And I don't know what the fuck we're going to discuss next month, but we'll probably be as off topic as we were this month.
Well, we'll see what happens in the world of comics. I mean, as you heard at the beginning of the show, there's still a lot going on with the Comicsgate thing. You know, maybe we'll do some more politics in comics, and we'll see how that goes, and we'll see what's going on in the world of movies. Let's see if we can both see Venom. We could talk about that. And, see how that was, and I'm sure there'll be plenty to talk about. There's always something in the world of comics.
All I know is I done got bat dick. I better not get spider dick, motherfuckers. I swear to God, I'll flip my shit.
Oh, it's bad. No, thank you.
Final thoughts, Tony?
Final thoughts. If you want to see comics where I promise you there will be no dicks, visit the Webcomic Factory at thewebcomicfactory.com. And you can also visit Superfrat at superfrat.com, although there is dick jokes in Superfrat. And thanks for having me on, as always, Factor. It's always a pleasure to be here at Comic Book Oblivion.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Tony D in the motherfucking house, giving that knowledge. Look, and like I said, check out his shit. There won't be no dicks. But if you want dicks in comic book, It's really not hard to find. Don't make them put it in Batman. For real. Jesus Christ. Have a good night, fuckers.
Yeah, there's plenty of X-rated comics on the internet. I mean, they're there if you want to see them. You don't need to put it. I mean, like, really, is Batman going to compete with anime? I don't think so.